What are 3 things you don't know when buying in Hawaii? Let's find out.
Okay, so that's a good question. The first one is definitely the difference between what is a leasehold property and what is a fee simple property, right?
Yes.
We get that all the time. So a short answer to that is simply fee simple, you own the property outright. The structure, the property, the land that it sits on, you're the owner, plain and simple. When it comes to leasehold though, you don't own the land, you're leasing it. So for all leaseholds, there's an expiration date on the lease. So when the lease runs out, you got to give that property, surrender it back to the fee holder.
Oh, that's why a lot of people call me, calling, oh, what happened in 20 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, the lease expired. Do I still stay in the condo or no?
No, because you surrender it when that lease is up. And see, and another big question we get about that is, how come this property is so cheap? A lot of times when we get that question right off the bat, we don't even have to look to know that it's probably a leasehold. And the reason being is, and don't get me wrong, leaseholds can be useful. We've owned a leasehold before. The nice thing about leaseholds is it's much cheaper than what you would pay as a fee simple. It just depends on your use for it.
Yeah. For example, a 2-bedroom condo in town, let's say in Waikiki, usually costs anywhere from $500,000 to over $1 million.
Well over $1 million.
Well, but when it's a leasehold, especially with the very short length left on the lease, let's say 5 years, 10 years, that 2-bedroom, 2-bath might just cost you $100,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, another good example is those leaseholds in Kohala. Remember?
Yeah.
We get a lot of calls about that. To live near the beach on Kohala would cost millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But there are some leaseholds there that you can get at a fraction of the price.
$100,000, $200,000.
Yeah. The only thing is though that the lease is usually up in a few years.
Yeah. And how much is the lease rent?
Yeah. That's another thing too to keep in mind. When you purchase a leasehold, you'll have your mortgage payment if you get a loan. If it's in a condo building or association, you'll have your monthly maintenance fees. But a leasehold, you also have what's called a lease rent.
Yeah.
And that's another monthly fee on top of what you're paying already. So, again, as I mentioned earlier, a leasehold can be very good depending on what your purposes of it for. If you want to live in a bigger place and you're not too worried about the expiration date, the timeline, you just want a nice, bigger place to live on maybe a smaller budget, a leasehold can be a great option for you.
Yeah.
I mean, we did that.
And one catch is if the lease expires less than 30 years or even 25 years, mortgage lender will not do the mortgage, so you had to pay in cash because the lease left length is too short.
Yeah.
Just be careful.
Yeah, the time left on that lease is a major consideration to the type of how you're going to purchase it. If you can get a mortgage for it, or you just have to pay cash. So that's and we see in Hawaii too, there are a lot of leasehold properties, and that's why, and we get calls on this all the time. And that's why I think leasehold versus fee simple is definitely at the top of the list for things to know about buying in Hawaii.
Yeah, and you don't see that a lot on the mainland, but in Honolulu, in Hawaii, you see quite a bit.
Yeah, like New York. New York, they got a lot of leaseholds. Also have leasehold co-ops. So this just depends on the state you're in. Hawaii, you do see a lot of leaseholds. Again, though, we got tons of fee simple properties available.
Yeah, most are fee simple.
Yeah, most are fee simple by far in Hawaii. But there is a sizable amount of leaseholds, especially in the town areas like Waikiki and stuff.
Okay. So what's the second thing you don't know?
Second thing, I would say probably the climate, the weather. Now, right off the bat, of course, being in Hawaii, one of the great things about Hawaii, there's many great things, but one of the great things about Hawaii is the weather. There's no extreme weather here. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But there are certain areas of the island that are going to have slightly different climate. For example, let's say Makaha. Now, typically, Makaha is much warmer area, a little bit drier, right?
A little bit drier, close to the ocean. And Ever Beach, Kapolei, usually their temperature usually about 10 degrees higher than the cooler side of island.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that side of the island, west side, tends to be a little drier and a little bit warmer. Now you got areas like
Mililani is colder.
Mililani is a little bit cooler
because of high gratitude.
Yeah, and also you got Manoa or
rains a lot.
Yeah, and Kaneohe, of course. I love Kaneohe. You get a lot more rain. It's a bit cooler.
Like
so
Kailua, same thing.
Yeah, a little more green and lush. Yeah. Again, there's no extreme weather in Hawaii, but it does make a difference where you live. You know, if you want a little cooler of an area, you know, and a little bit greener. It's good to know the different parts of the island and what you're gonna get.
Yeah, and when you live on Maui, Haleakala area can sometimes it's snowing in the middle of the summertime, but West Maui is not a different story than east side.
You remember when we were driving up to Haleakala?
Yeah.
And it started pouring rain?
Yeah.
So when you go up Haleakala, it's this winding road. Yeah. Very narrow, right? And there's no like guardrails.
Yeah.
So when you're going up, it's already, if it's perfectly clear, it makes you a little nervous.
Visibility.
Yeah, even with visibility. But when we went up, you could barely see a foot in front of the car.
Yeah,
that was pretty crazy.
And that was the first time Ryan drive on Haleakala. He was scared. He had to park on the road.
I pulled over a couple times.
Pulled over because there's no visibility. He didn't want to drive off the cliff.
Yeah, it would have been bad. I mean, we did have a rental car, but it still would have been bad.
We had a big Jeep.
We had a nice big Jeep that we rented.
Yeah, Cherokee. So that was quite an experience,
Perfect for the trip, but I'm glad we stayed on the road.
I was wondering, why did you stop and park?
What animals did we see coming down from that again? You got to watch out for the wildlife too when you're on there.
A lot of
what was it, deer or pigs? That came out on the road. It was deer, right?
The deer just
right out in the middle of the road. So you're going around. We're going around this bend, and all of a sudden, boom! There's a few deer right there.
Deer highlight. That's how to say that. Right?
Yeah. So that was pretty fun. But yes, so climate is depending on the area you want to move to, something definitely to check out and ask your realtor.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so Elle, the third question is the lifestyle, what people are looking for, what areas they might want to live in, depending on their circumstances.
Okay.
What type of lifestyle based on the areas? Maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, based on the area, if you live in town, versus living in a suburb area, it's quite different. Because the town side, it's when you live in town side of Oahu, Hawaii, you feel like quite busy, kind of like I'm not saying little Hong Kong, but kind of a little bit like LA busy town because we have a lot of high rise, and everything is very close by. For example,
a city.
So like for us, I can even walk to my yoga place, go shopping, so everything is less than 15 minutes drive. But if you live in suburb area,
let's say
that's another story.
Hawaii Kai. I grew up in Hawaii Kai. We live in town now, but I grew up, spent my whole life in Hawaii Kai. And Hawaii Kai is a suburb. It's more laid back. It's at the end of the freeway east of Oahu. It's a great place. It's a very nice family area. They also got shopping out there like Costco. You got your Safeways and everything, so that's taken care of. But also the great thing about Hawaii and especially in the suburbs area too is nature stuff. You got a lot of hiking. A lot of beautiful hiking trails. Cocoa Head Trail, the train tracks. You also got the beaches.
Lighthouse.
I grew up going to Sandy Beach. My mother was always worried about that, but me and my brother, when we were little, was always sneaking out of the house to go to Sandy Beach. There you got to be a little careful of the waves. But that's the great part about living in the suburbs. You got the nature stuff, and it's a little quieter as opposed to the city. Again, another wonderful thing about Hawaii, you still got the nature stuff. You got the beaches in town. But it's a little more fast-paced, a little more city life and the nightlife, right?
I remember before Hawaii Kai Costco was built, you and your brother even went there to prepping, right?
So the Hawaii Kai Marina runs by where Costco is now. So before Costco was built, that used to just be an empty plot of land over there. And so me and my brother used to go crabbing and fishing in the marina right over there. So yeah, when Costco was built, we lost our crabbing spot.
Yeah, so no more live crabs.
I think my mom was happy. I mean, we used to fill her refrigerator with crabs and eel.
Wow, eel is another
eel. So eel was the funnest
Chinese food. Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't eat the eel.
Oh,
okay. So we would use the eel for alua fishing. It's a great bait. Aluas love the eel.
Really?
Yeah. So we go and catch the eel, but a lot of times we weren't going alua. You got to usually go out on a boat, or deep sea fishing. So we would store the eels in the freezer, and we only had one refrigerator and freezer. So me and my brother used to put all these big eels now inside black garbage bags and put them in the refrigerator. Wow. So my mom, she would open up, oh, what's this? She opens the bag and there's an eel in there.
Was she scared?
Oh, yeah. Hawaii, there's a lot of different types of areas depending on the lifestyle. What you want to do. If you wanted a little more busy on the go, nightclubs around you, or you just want the quiet life. And live out in the suburbs. So that's another really important thing when looking for a home, is you want to know exactly what type of area that you're moving to.
Right? That's right.
Okay, so those I think are probably the top 3 important things to be aware of, at least
finding Hawaii.
Yeah, some things you should really consider. And again, it's really, really important that you have a real estate agent that knows all the different areas on the island.
Yes.
Yeah, especially if maybe you've only just visited Hawaii, or it's your first time. If you're a local resident here, of course, you probably already know the areas a bit. Yeah. But it's very important, these three questions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for watching.
Okay.
Like and subscribe.
Take care.
Thank you.